We've looked at what NotebookLM can do, the good, the bad, the weird. It's a powerful tool, but like you said, it's not a magic solution.
Exactly. And remember, it's supposed to help us think, not think for us.
So no robots replacing teachers anytime soon. Okay, so everyone knows that feeling, right? You've got a mountain of research to do, and it just feels overwhelming.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
So many articles, so many PDFs, and, you just wish you could download the information straight into your brain.
Like in The Matrix.
Exactly. But, hey, maybe Google's one step closer to making that a reality. Have you heard of NotebookLM?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of buzz around it. It's their new AI research tool, right?
It is, and it's being touted as this, game changer for research, for studying, for, just absorbing knowledge in general.
Well, game changer might be a little strong at this point. I mean, AI tools are still pretty early stages.
True.
But it's definitely worth exploring. Google's calling it an experiment, and I'm curious to see what it can actually do.
Okay, so let's dive into the fun stuff.
Yeah.
The AI for Education review we have here outlines some pretty incredible capabilities. So first off, the sheer scale of what this thing can handle is mind-blowing. Like, you could throw 50 different sources at it, PDFs, YouTube videos, even audio recordings.
Yeah, that's the part that really grabbed my attention, too. It's like having a research assistant who can speed read and has a perfect memory.
Okay, so imagine this. You've got a stack of research papers for a project that you've been putting off reading.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well.
But with NotebookLM, you could theoretically get the gist of all those papers in minutes.
That's the promise anyway. It's supposed to be able to summarize key takeaways, identify the main arguments, all that good stuff.
Okay, so hold on. I can finally conquer my to-read list without actually reading. Sign me up.
Well, not so fast. It's not quite that simple. I mean, the review does say the text summarization is impressive, but there are some caveats.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, it seems like NotebookLM can sometimes oversimplify things. It might flatten out the nuances of an argument or exaggerate differences between sources.
So it's like getting the Cliff's Notes version instead of reading the whole book. You get the main points, but you miss out on the depth and the details.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to remember that this is just a tool. It's not a replacement for critical thinking.
Gotcha. So you still need to double-check sources, evaluate the information for yourself.
Absolutely. NotebookLM can help you process information faster, but it can't replace your own judgment.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some of the other features, because some of them sound pretty cool. Like the review mentions, NotebookLM can generate quizzes based on your notes.
Oh, yeah, that one's interesting. Imagine being able to test your understanding of any topic on demand. It could be a great way to reinforce what you've learned.
It's like having a personalized tutor who can whip up a pop quiz whenever you need one.
And speaking of personalized, the review also mentioned that the team actually used NotebookLM to create a podcast.
Wait, what? An AI-generated podcast?
Yeah, they even gave the AI voices personalities like you'd hear on an NPR show.
Okay, that's both cool and kind of creepy. Now, I'm not a huge podcast person myself, but the idea of AI generating a whole podcast is pretty wild.
It is. It's definitely pushing the boundaries of what we thought AI could do. But it also highlights the fact that this technology is still in its early stages. There's still a lot of room for improvement.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, we've been talking about all these amazing capabilities, but you said it yourself, it's an experiment.
Right. And the review actually mentions this funny anecdote where the AI tried to create a dramatic narrative around the differences between two sets of guidelines for AI in education.
Oh.
Yeah. Even though the guidelines were actually pretty similar, the AI tried to make it seem like there was this big conflict.
So basically the AI was trying to spice things up for the podcast audience.
It seems that way. And it's a good example of what researchers call hallucination, where the AI kind of gets carried away and starts making connections that aren't really there.
So it's not just simplifying things, it's potentially inventing stuff. This is a little concerning.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we can't just blindly trust AI output. We need to be aware of its limitations and be ready to double-check the information.
Okay, so it sounds like NotebookLM is this powerful tool with a lot of potential, but it definitely needs some human supervision.
Exactly. It's like a really smart intern. You can give it tasks and it can do some amazing things, but you still need to check its work and make sure it's on the right track.
So we're not quite at the point where we can just download knowledge into our brains.
Not yet. But who knows, maybe someday.
In the meantime, we've got NotebookLM, and it's already changing the way we think about research and information gathering.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this so exciting. This is just the beginning. We're still figuring out how to use these tools and what they mean for the future of learning.
It's a brave new world out there, folks. And we're all figuring it out together.
One thing that really stood out in the review was how NotebookLM handles, conflicting viewpoints.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Because in research, you often come across different perspectives, different interpretations of the same data.
Right. And it seems like NotebookLM is really good at presenting those different sides without taking a stance itself.
So it's like it's saying, here's what this source says, here's what that source says. You decide what to believe.
Yeah, it's like a super neutral moderator just laying out the facts and letting you draw your own conclusions.
I can see how that could be helpful.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to get a sense of the whole debate around a topic.
Exactly. It's like having a really good research librarian. They can point you to all the relevant sources, but they're not going to tell you what to think.
Right. You still have to do the heavy lifting of analyzing the information and forming your own opinions.
And that's a crucial point. We can't let these AI tools do all the thinking for us.
Yeah, it's tempting to just accept the AI's summary as the gospel truth. But that's not how critical thinking works.
We need to stay engaged with the material, question the sources, and ultimately make our own judgments.
It's funny, we started out talking about NotebookLM, like it was this magic cheat code for knowledge.
Right, like we can just download all the information we need and be done with it.
But as we're digging deeper, it's becoming clear that it's not that simple. There are nuances, there are limitations.
And that's actually what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's like we're starting to understand the real potential of these tools, but also the real challenges.
Exactly. And one of those challenges that we've touched on is, the whole hallucination issue.
Right. The AI making stuff up or exaggerating differences between sources.
And the example with the AI podcast and the education guidelines really illustrates that point.
Oh, yeah, where the AI tried to create this dramatic narrative, even though the guidelines were pretty similar.
Exactly. It's like it was trying to manufacture conflict for the sake of entertainment.
Which is kind of funny when you think about it.
Yeah.
But also a little worrying.
It is, because it shows how AI can misinterpret information or present it in a misleading way.
Even if it's not outright lying, it can still distort the truth.
Right, and that's why we need to be so careful. We can't just take AI output at face value. We need to be skeptical. We need to cross-check. We need to think for ourselves.
It's almost like we're talking about a student who's really good at memorizing facts, but doesn't really understand them.
That's a great analogy. They can regurgitate information, but they can't really apply it or analyze it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thinking that AI still struggles with. It's good at processing information, but not so good at understanding it.
Yeah, at least not yet.
Right. We're still in the early stages here.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to watch this technology evolve and to think about what it means for the future of learning.
It is. And it raises some pretty big questions.
Like what?
Well, if AI can help us process information faster, what does that free us up to do?
That's a good question. What new questions can we ask? What new problems can we solve?
And how do we prepare ourselves and future generations for this new world where AI is such a powerful force?
It's a lot to think about. But it's exciting, too. It feels like we're on the cusp of something truly transformative.
We are, and that's what makes these deep dives so important. We need to keep exploring these topics, keep asking questions, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
We've talked about how AI could change how we learn and teach. I mean, it feels like NotebookLM is just the first step.
Yeah, it really is like opening a door to a whole new world.
And things are moving so fast. It's kind of like when the internet first took off, remember?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's exciting and uncharted and maybe a little bit scary all at the same time.
Exactly. And just like with the internet, there are going to be huge benefits, but also some downsides we can't even predict yet.
So it's up to us to figure out how to navigate this new landscape responsibly, right?
Totally. So where do we stand with all of this? We've looked at what NotebookLM can do, the good, the bad, the weird. It's a powerful tool, but like you said, it's not a magic solution.
Exactly. The real key is in how we use it. We have to understand both its strengths and its limits. And remember, it's supposed to help us think, not think for us.
So no robots replacing teachers anytime soon. Although I wouldn't mind a robot grading my papers.
Maybe someday. But for now, let's stick with the human side of learning. You know, that spark of curiosity, the joy of figuring things out, the satisfaction of finally grasping a tough concept.
Those are the things that make learning really matter, right? It's not just about cramming facts into your head. It's about understanding the world, connecting with others, and figuring out where you fit in.
Perfectly said. And that's what we have to hold on to as we move into this age of AI. It's a powerful tool, but ultimately we're the ones in control.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on NotebookLM, Let's leave everyone with a question to think about. If AI can take over some of the research and information processing, what does that free us up to do?
That's a great question. What new questions can we explore? What problems can we solve? What amazing things can we create?
This is an exciting time to be alive. The possibilities really are endless. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.
See you next time.